Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever everybody is. I'm Mariam Bova, and welcome to Tuesday on Herstory Global Online Summit. I am Mariam Bova. I am from Sydney, Australia, right where all the floods were recently. That was pretty insane. But yeah, we're high and dry now, which is great. So welcome to every one of you. It's a special month this month. As everyone's aware, we have International Women's Month, and so many great activities are going on around that. And the theme for this month is the theme of giving, the power of giving. And I'm sure that we're going to find some great stories here this morning for wrapped around that theme. So just want to welcome Gertrude Mache, the founder of Herstory Circle. You all know her very well. And of course, Ruth over in Africa, in Zimbabwe.
In the dark.
Yeah, it is nighttime there. What is it? It's 10 o'clock over there, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, you're good. That's usually I'm ready for bed. So, and Gertrude's been feeling pretty crook. Perhaps the COVID's found you. So she's doing extremely well to be here.
It's good to be here, though. So let's start off with an acknowledgement of country, Marianne. We've been making a point because I'm here in Australia. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Thank you for allowing me to be in Australia, in this beautiful country, and launch the Herstory Online Summit for the next 31, not even 31 days anymore. We're almost halfway there, so another 20 days to go.
Yeah.
And hand over to you, Mariam. I can see why Renee Cooper is joining us from the US on Facebook. Renee, good to see you there.
Good morning, Renee. Hello.
Right, so the ball's in your court, Mariam.
Okay, so we are going to start with Jody. We have Jody Costello. Jody is a home renovation planning expert. Founded her website, thank you, contractorsfromhell.com after a remodeling nightmare. Since then, her mission has been to raise awareness about the risks and realities of hiring and working with contractors, completing renovations successfully, and understanding the construction planning process. Through her online course, the Home Remodeling Bootcamp for Women, she educates female homeowners on how to protect their families. Wow, that's definitely needed. She, through her online course, yep, that's there. Beautiful. Okay, so we're just going to get her video up.
My name is Jody Costello, and I am based in San Diego, California.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And today I am graced with
So we can't see the video, Mariam. You need to share your screen.
There we go. And we are just going
and share the tab.
See, it's coming up.
That's right. Rather share the tab, the Chrome tab that has her video.
That's not coming up that way when I'm doing
My
it
name
that
is
way.
Jody Costello, and I am based in San Diego, California.
On again, Marianne?
That's not coming up correctly, is it?
No. So when you share screen, it will display entire screen, window, and Chrome tab. Go to Chrome tab and find the tab that has her video.
Share screen. It's very. Can you see it?
Marianne,
Yeah.
go to Chrome tab. When you get into share screen, there's 3 options. You're sharing your entire screen. That's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Go across to share Chrome tab.
It's not quite coming up.
Okay, that was right.
Ah. This one?
Now, yeah, expand your screen and start the video from the beginning.
Beautiful.
My name is Jody Costello, and I am based in San Diego, California.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another feisty lady coming to us all the way from the US. Welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted to be here. So my name is Jody Costello, and I am based in San Diego, California. And I am 60-something. And, the whole part for me is that I am a home renovation planning and contractor fraud expert. And that came about unexpectedly. It was an experience that I went through some 20 years ago where I was faced with a mother who was failing in health. And I wanted her to be with us in our home. So my big vision was to add an addition to our home so that I could have her and have someone to take care of her while my husband and I lived in another part of the house, but we could be with her. The whole thing was prompted by multiple emergency room visits while I was out of town because I traveled for my job at that time. So I decided to quit my job and just make this my new job. And so we embarked on this renovation project. I, at the time, deferred to my husband because he had a construction background. And so I learned, but I let him make the decisions. And so we ended up, unfortunately, choosing a contractor who was not a good person. He was definitely unethical. And it was just from the get-go that we started having problems. Front-loading contracts is very common with unethical contractors where they take as much money as they can up front, and which is illegal, especially in California. He should have only taken $1,000 to start the project, and he took $30,000. Now, I didn't know. Again, I was deferring to my husband, but he didn't know the rules. Now, he knows the trades, but he doesn't know the rules of engagement and how the whole contracting process, the legal laws behind that. So off we went to do it, and everything just started falling apart. It wasn't but 2 weeks into this project where there was no shows, there was shoddy work, there was lots of problems, there was work where everything was falling apart around our house, the demolition. They took the vent to the hot water heater off. This is an example. And I was staying at the home, and I got carbon monoxide poisoning, passed out, had to go to the ER. I mean, those kinds of things were consistently happening. And the contractor didn't care and was a no-show. And I quickly started to see how I can't let this happen. And so I started to insert myself into the situation and started going after the contractor, who never returned my calls. And this went on for several months, and we were dealing with the city. And I can tell you that there were some not very pleasant conversations that went down. And I shortly started working with contacting the contractor's state licensing board in our state, who were no help to me at all. And actually, as I started to file complaints, I was being treated poorly by their staff, and was told that I didn't have a case when I knew I had a case. Exactly. And I already started talking with construction law attorneys, and they were just amazed at what was going on. And so I had it one day. I mean, I remember our house was leaking. We had mold everywhere. And lo and behold, I'm not allergic to anything, but I'm allergic to mold. And I got very sick. And it was like, I mean, it went on for 6 months. And we had a projected completion date of 6 months. Of course, you always know you got to tag on to that with contractors. But we were like in the midst of a house falling apart. So it was at that point in time that I said, this is it. This is stopping. It stops right here. And I'm going to go after this. And I actually did call Sacramento, which is our state capital. And I wanted to find out who is the head of this whole nonsense. And, lo and behold, I got to him. And boy, did he have an earful from me. And it was interesting, because the contractors board was starting to fall apart because there was a lot of problems. The media got involved. Now, this is really key for me, because the LA Times and the Sacramento Bee started calling out the contractors board because they were failing consumers, myself as one of them. And I had launched my website, contractorsfromhell.com, for my attorneys, because I wanted to create a blog and have everything documented for them. That was the initial whole thing. And then the media got a hold of it. And back then it was easy to rank number one on Google. And so they found me, and then they started asking me and what's going on. And it just snowballed from there. No idea it was going to take hold like that. And, before you know it, I'm being interviewed by different media, and including San Diego. And I got connected with 37 homeowners who had gotten taken advantage by another contractor who ran off with $300,000, collectively, of homeowners, and never did the work. So all of that fell into place in such a way that I inserted myself in there and started to ask for answers. And I wanted accountability. And I wanted them to be responsible for their actions on the part of their staff. So it went from there. And it was kind of interesting, because it was a very expensive litigation, because we did end up in litigation. And it was through that litigation, I unfortunately, my mother I had her in assisted living. I was trying to bring her home, but we could not bring her home when the house was in such disrepair, because we were living on the very first floor and everything above us was like falling apart. So it was towards the end of that where things were getting worse, and the litigation was not moving forward as quickly, and complaints were being filed, and the contractor was, just denouncing everything that had happened. He was not responsible, and all of this stuff that you'll hear. The litigation and the conferences, the settlement conferences, the pre-settlement, of course I was the crazy one. And, but it was right before trial, unfortunately, because it was extended for so long that my mother passed before we even, got her home. And it was interesting because my husband and I spent all night long painting one little room to bring her because she was already on oxygen. They said she had a few days to live. And so we brought her home. And she passed.
What a story. What a story, Jody.
Yeah.
If you could go back to the younger you, that young woman who was trying just to get her house in order and get things done, and give her some advice based on everything you went through, what nuggets of wisdom can you share to somebody who's going into a renovation project?
Yes. The most important thing, what I could tell myself, is that I needed to really have greater confidence in taking on a project like this and not to defer it. There's no rocket science to this. You just need to find out what your state laws are and what you need to do to protect yourself. Most homeowners, myself included, 20 plus years ago, did not do that. And to be honest with you, contractors don't even know what those laws are. They'll take that test, and because I've been told this, and most of the time they end up taking it 2 or 3 times, but they really, for the most part, they really don't understand the laws. They just know to do the work. But for homeowners, it is truly their responsibility to make sure that they're protected and not vulnerable to unethical business practices.
Yeah.
Because there is good contractors and bad contractors, really great contractors and really bad contractors. You have to suss that out. And it's, people rely on consumer protection agencies to get them out of trouble, which includes the contractor state licensing board, but they're not going to be able to make you whole financially. Number one. Number two, very often their investigations leave the homeowner feeling very unresolved with their issues and angry at the fact that the board did not protect them and educate them. So for me, education is key. Go into these things with your eyes wide open and understand what those laws are. And again, I always say it's not rocket science. There's lots of things that people can do online. You can go to your state law contractor licensing board and they'll show you, here's what you need to avoid. For myself, because now that I teach that, because I do have a home remodeling boot camp for women, I teach everything. I have a roadmap for everything that everybody needs to do from start to finish, right?
Right.
They need to understand what their role is, what the contractor's role is, what to expect along the way, and how to off-put any kind of serious potential problems. What is it they can do? And the truth of the matter is that every renovation project is going to have challenges, or some kind of problems are going to come up. But you know what? It's about learning how to navigate those kinds of issues. And it's really about putting control in the hands of the consumer, of the homeowner, being respectful of the relationship. And the other thing I would say to that is the vetting process for contractors is really key. It is the foundation for having a successful completion of your project. Because if you have a good contractor and you've done the vetting, and when I say vetting, it goes beyond checking a license and checking with referrals. We did that. People do that all day long and they still get into trouble.
Yes.
The key is to understand that just because somebody has a license and there's no disciplinary action on that license at the time that you're looking at it, doesn't mean there isn't an investigation going on. These license boards take 18 months to 2 years before it's disclosed to the public. So in our case, we found out 8 months into this whole mess by an attorney, like, oh, well, he's got some disciplinary action. Well, that had been going on already for over a year and it hadn't been disclosed to us. So that's why I say, do your background checks online and be very thorough.
When I listen to your story and the actual outcome of what came of this, it's absolutely incredible. They say we go through the challenges life throws at us so we can become teachers. You certainly harness all of that pain and turned it into something really good.
Yeah. I yes, thank you. And I think that's what's been my passion behind it. And, you know, even this week, I've had several people reach out to me and who were in the throes of problems, and I feel for them. They didn't find me online beforehand, and I always get like, why didn't I know about you? You know, and it's like I'm my core heart is to really reach the people that need to know about me. That's my big thing, and I am absolutely on a mission to help owners avoid these kinds of catastrophes and to put the control in their hands and the knowledge they need to move forward successfully. That is my sole goal in all of this.
So now you run a boot camp.
Yeah.
How long is it? Are you doing it online? How do people get access to you?
Sure. Well, certainly they can reach me. Well, there's a couple of different ways. If you go to contractorsfromhell.com, you'll immediately see my initial website, which, by the way, was, again, something I created to help my attorneys understand what was going on. And then the boot camp, you can link to it from there, but the boot camp's official name is Home Remodeling Boot Camp for Women.com.
Okay.
And I target women because here's the thing. Early on, when I was going through the first 10 years of working with consumers before the boot camp, it's always the women that would reach out to me. These are like the mama bears and the she bears that just got blindsided, and their families and their homes are falling apart. So I really did. I thought, women, we need to get in there and take hold, and because we are we're detail oriented project managers, perfect, and we run our households and we run our families, and this is just another part of it. So that's why I want to empower women with the confidence to understand what this male-dominated industry is about and how they can really harness their power and take control. That's really what I'm trying to do with my boot camp.
I love that. Now, based on what life has taught you with this whole experience, you branching out and becoming an entrepreneur, if you were to have a conversation with the future you, and you're sitting in your rocking chair at the age of 150, at the rate you're going, you'll be going for a long time. What would you say to this feisty woman that you became because of this experience? A lot of women don't go into business, they're fearful. And here you are, you're like this little bulldog. You're like, I'm not letting this go.
That's so funny. It's so funny you say that. Somebody said that to me. A woman had said, "You're my favorite bulldog. I love you."
So I'm right.
It's like, now it's
what would you say to that woman based on how you have lived your life?
It's what I would say to her is you should have always had the confidence, because it was always in you to do this. And it's good. Unfortunately, you should have done that back in your 20s. It was when I was 40-ish when this whole thing happened. But man, did I go through that whole experience. And I would just say, good for you. You should have never doubted yourself. You should have absolutely just pushed forward. Because when I was going through it, I was kind of a mad woman, to be honest with you. I did stalk the Contractor State Licensing Board at their meetings. I did voice my opinion. I'm sure they were like, holy moly, who is this woman?
Who is this woman?
But
And you kept going.
Yep, I did. But look what happened. They asked me to work with the enforcement chief for 17 years. I'm I'm a stakeholder in the Contractor State Licensing Board, which simply means when they do strategic meetings, I'm invited to give my opinions about what they have before the board. And I've been doing that for 17 years. So
absolutely incredible.
New, right? It's been a wild ride, I would have to say.
But it sounds to me like you were up to the ride.
Yeah.
It's just in your nature.
Exactly. And again, that wasn't who I thought I was 20 some odd years ago. I was just this gal. I was in medical sales. I traveled to Southern California. That was my territory. That's what I did. But it was just a 180, and I was like, I unleashed myself. But here's the thing. There was a saying going around like, hell has no fury
like a woman scorned
by her contractor. That was me. I was like fit to be tied. But you know what? It's so funny because these things happen to us, right? These things that at the time are just these trials, these tribulations, these things that, on the surface, they're terrible. And it was terrible. But when you look back, look at everything that
came out of that.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. And I think that's one thing I would say is that when we are faced with these kinds of conflicts and trials, is to really absolutely look at it from, and I'm doing this more often in my life now, is like, okay, this is a problem. What do I need to learn from this? What am I going to be doing in this? And not just get frozen like, I've got to fix it. No, wait.
Yes.
Let's see, what's this about? What do I need to learn here? What do I need to do here? So that's kind of what I have really been developing over the last several years. So, and it's been so
fantastic.
Yeah.
Jody, I could talk to you forever. Unfortunately, our time is up. It has been an absolute pleasure meeting you. Thank you for what you're doing for women, waking up, making them aware so they don't fall into those pitfalls when they're working on their homes. Absolutely incredible story. And thank you to everybody.
The video now, Miriam.
I told you the Herstory movement is attracting some of the most phenomenal women on the planet. Tune in again tomorrow. I will have an amazing guest, but have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now. Thank you, Jody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Awesome.
Wow.
Let's talk a little bit about Jody and her amazing story before we get our next guest on. I guess the thing for me and Jody was how feisty she is. A lot of times women get stuck. They don't have the courage to stand up to the bullies, so to speak. This is a man's world she was in. Construction is something that most of us have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And yet she took the bull by the horns and is now helping other women navigate that space when they're having construction done in their homes.
And I really heard her when she said that on this score she was happy to defer it. And that's what we often do because I think, okay, all right, this is what I want. Put it in the man's domain, put it in the husband's domain, and very quickly things started to cascade out of control. And to think, it sort of reminded me a little bit of the Erin Brockovich story that, she saw, the injustice of it. And it's just hell hath no fury, a woman scorn. And so she's really, and it's, you wonder too when things like that happen that for what she's created all these years down the track, that such a horrible, intense thing sort of doesn't sound very pleasant, but needed to happen in order for her to create what she has and to go on and to help so many other people on a platform that's obviously very, very useful, very popular, and her services are much needed. So, it was horrible that she had to go through that, but look at what's been created as a result.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And
but very, very inspiring.
And on the theme of the power of giving, women are incredible for when they face adversity, that they use that to lift up and empower other people, and in this case, the women. And, it's just a perfect example of that. And I did see that a lot with Mum, being a single older woman. when she was getting all her landscaping done, and it's if they did try to really,
Take
just do a
advantage.
happy job, and happy to take the money though. So yeah, definitely need protection. Great job, Jody. Thank you. Ruth, are you there?
I
Ruth
am
is
here
with
and
us.
I'm in the dark, so I'm going to be off camera, like I said. But
Great
what I
photo.
wanted to say about her story is she saw she was frustrated and been given a run around by these contractors, and saw an opportunity that she grabbed and turned that situation, and now she's got a great business from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was able to turn it completely around, which is quite
Completely,
fascinating.
yes.
Yeah.
Well
But I
done
think
to
it's
her.
her tenacity and just that no give up way of thinking
Hmm.
that brought her to this point. And her story started being spread through the media, and one piece of media led to another piece of media, which then turned into a business. Sometimes you don't even see this kind of thing coming. So that was fascinating.
And you think that a lot of businesses are created out of that, of course, the Spanx brand, somebody that's really passionate about, a particular area, and just that tenacity. And, Jodie's someone that was just really incensed by what had happened. So she's a perfect leader for her platform.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. So we have a couple of comments, like I said, coming in from Facebook and YouTube. The first person was Renee saying good morning. They're in the US. We had Faith in Sydney, Australia. Thank you, Faith. Thank you so much. I was on Faith's, she did something for International Women's Day. So I was one of the speakers on one of her panels, which was absolutely fascinating as well. Now, Ruth has informed me that our live speaker for the morning can only join us in 20 minutes time, Miriam.
Okay.
So Clay Johnson will be joining us in 20 minutes. In the meantime, we could go on to our next video. What might be good as well, Miriam, is for you to remove
Yep.
the last video from the studio. If we see at the bottom there, just remove that and then add the next one that's coming. That's excellent. So the best way to do it, Miriam, so that when you're sharing the screen, let's go to Alison Alexandra, and I'll take you through step by step how to share the screen so it doesn't
Sure.
jump around like it did last time.
Sure. Sorry, folks, a little bit rusty. It's been a little while.
This is a
So we
crash
have
course.
Alison Alexander. She is a self-love coach for high-achieving mothers who are seeking to grow in their careers with less guilt and shame. It is her belief that establishing deep self-love is the key to a life with more satisfaction and less burnout. Over the past 10 years as an entrepreneur, she has built 3 businesses from the ground up while simultaneously navigating motherhood and her 9 to 5. Her fitness apparel brand, KFT Brands, has been worn by women around the globe. Wow. Amazing. Okay, so we shall get the video and we shall get this shared. So I've got that one there. That's coming up. Let's see. Oh no, you've just gone everywhere.
The best thing is to share the tab, not your screen.
Yeah.
Share the tab.
Let's see if we've got that one.
I am Allison Alexander. I am 39 years old and I live in Aspen, Colorado.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand, and I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating businesswoman, entrepreneur, coach, coming to us all the way from the United States and Colorado. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our platform. Tell everybody your full name, exactly where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I am Allison Alexander. I am 39 years old and I live in Aspen, Colorado. 10 and a half years ago, I launched my first clothing line. It was a children's clothing line. And I started actually that company by selling some old clothes that I had for my daughter. And I used that money to kind of trade up. And without knowing anything about fashion or business, I launched that company about 10 and a half years ago. And then 6 years ago, I launched my second company, which is a fitness apparel company, which is still running now. And we are a global brand. Actually, I do have several customers in New Zealand and in Australia. So there are several in your neck of the woods who wear my clothing. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So that's pretty, so I do that. And then professionally, I have worked in education for the last 15 years. I've worked with nonprofits, doing educational consulting for government agencies, and also worked in libraries and also worked in educational research. So I have a background of working with young children and their families, as well as being an entrepreneur. And last year, I launched a coaching business, and that was during COVID. Several of my fellow apparel brand owners who were newer in the business started to reach out to me and asking me for suggestions and things like that. So I just started, it's like, why not help people? And so I launched my coaching business last year, and I've really been enjoying working with other fellow entrepreneurs who are starting to grow, either who are just starting their businesses or who are still in that kind of growing phase. So yeah, that's
fascinating career you've had. So your inspiration was just to upgrade your children's clothing, and next thing you know, it led to something else. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs are very fearful of starting businesses. What was it that prompted you, that gave you that little sign that you were on the right track and you trusted it and you followed that trail?
Oh, that's such a good question. Actually, so when my daughter was born, my husband is a pilot, and I was having a lot of things custom made for her that were around aviation or were travel related that were kind of unique. And we would go out places and people would comment on them. And my husband said, you keep sending other people business. Maybe and they were all things that I had designed, but other people had created. So I just, because my education is in library science, I've always been, I'm naturally curious and I can always figure things out. So I just started doing some research on how to start a clothing line, and I did it. So there wasn't a lot of fear, because I always say that curiosity is my superpower. And because curiosity is my superpower, there's nothing I can't figure out. And so and curiosity also creates possibility. And as long as there's possibility, you can't fail. And so that I had fear, obviously, but I decided to kind of walk along with it and just explore and make it a fun game.
So along the journey, to get up to this point, what were the ups? What were the downs? What were the highlights and downfalls of your business career so far?
Such a good question. In 2013, my business was going well, and I did the worst thing I think an entrepreneur can do. And I started to look at what other people were doing. And what I noticed was that several of people who I noticed had started businesses around the same time had opened brick and mortar stores. And so I thought, I will open a brick and mortar store. Everyone else has one. I will open one. I think we all have this dream. A lot of us have this dream of opening a boutique, and won't it be wonderful? I'll have, the lights and everything will be beautiful. That was opening a boutique was the biggest mistake of my entrepreneurial career. And it was a long year where I realized that when you're a digital entrepreneur, you can come and go as you please. You can do all the things. I quit my 9 to 5, which had tremendous flexibility, by the way, to go open this boutique and be chained to a register because I wasn't making enough money to hire a staff. At one point, the winter that I was open, I paid more money in snow removal for the parking lot than I made in sales in the store. So I was literally paying to park at a store that no one was coming to. So that was a real eye-opening moment for me, and a moment when I realized that in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, you truly have to look inward at what are your values and what's important to you. And so it was a very expensive, costly, exhausting experience, but I recovered.
Wow. When I moved to New Zealand 21 years ago, I did exactly the same thing. My kids were little, and so I'm an artist. I hand paint fabric, and I paint large 3-meter pieces of material. And I thought, I'll just quit my day job as a systems analyst in IT. I'll open a shop. I'll sell my fabric. And I spent a year in a shop with no customers. And nobody would buy the large pieces because nobody sews in New Zealand. It was just a total disaster. And also because the population is so small, you don't make money with product in New Zealand. If you're a service business, yes, you do.
Yeah.
And for 12 months, I sat in that shop not making a cent. But I hit on my next $1 million idea when I closed the shop. I went into the recruiting business for doctors. My ex-husband was a medical doctor. I just saw hundreds of vacancies. And when he was job hunting, I helped him, reached out to friends in Africa and said, hey, do you want to come to New Zealand? 5 friends came. And in the first 5 months of business, I made $125,000 in 3 months and never looked back. But you are so right. And like now with COVID, I think a lot of entrepreneurs needs to see the value of having an online business, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've been helping other entrepreneurs to pivot, to cope with the crisis. Give us 3 tips, 3 pieces of advice that somebody who has a brick and mortar shop can do to survive this pandemic.
Well, if you have a brick and mortar, blessings to you right now, like absolutely. And what I would encourage you to do is look at what aspects of your business are going really well. Like I always tell my clients that they should be looking for their strengths. What's going really well? How can we leverage that? How can we really, instead of focusing, I think sometimes we have a tendency to over focus on the things that aren't going well. And if you have a brick and mortar store, you're probably noticing my foot traffic is down. That's not going well. But if you can really figure out what is going well for you and leverage that strength, if you can get really clear on your values, again, like I think everything has to come from our values. What is most important to you, not only in your business, but in your life? Like for me, I realized being chained to that desk and in that boutique, freedom is very important to me. Flexibility is so important to me. So in any business model, you need to make sure that it's reflecting what your values are for the life you want to lead. And then thirdly, I think that if you have a brick and mortar store, explore what knowledge you have that you could share with someone else that you don't necessarily, that they don't have to come in for. I was just talking with a woman the other day who is an auctioneer, and because auctions have not been going, there haven't been a lot of them, but she's been in fundraising for a long time. So now she's selling courses, teaching people how to fundraise. So if you have something that you know how to do, find that and then supplement your income if you are, attached to this brick and mortar that you have. Those would be my 3 things that I would suggest to anybody.
I absolutely love that. I think I've made more money teaching people to do what I do than to do what I do. And it's that knowledge, right? And just understanding that there is enough to go around. The other person will never do what you do exactly the same. Wonderful, wonderful advice. So if time was an illusion and your past, your present, your future existed in the same timeline, and you could go back to the younger you when you started this business, based on what life has taught you, what would you say to her as a piece of advice? 3 things.
Oof. 3 things. It's not as bad as it seems.
Okay.
I would say that, in the moments when it's slow, when it's hard, or when it feels impossible, it's not as bad as it seems. There's always an opportunity if you have an open mind.
Yes.
And then thirdly, network. Leverage every possible opportunity you have to both to cultivate community, to help other people along the way, because those things always come full circle. So I think as I've grown as an entrepreneur, my first business had a really strong community on it, and my current business has a very strong community. But I think that over the years, I've learned to leverage the community in different ways. And truly, I love giving back and helping. Some of the people that I first started in my coaching business was just me sharing free advice. If I have 5 or 10 minutes that I can give you if I can help someone in 5 or 10 minutes, I have 5 or 10 minutes, and that always comes back to you. So those are the 3 things that I think I would share with younger me that I've definitely leaned more into.
I absolutely love that. And that sense of community, they say that it's easier for you to sell to people you know and that you've dealt with before than to find new clients. So again, it depends on how you're treating your clients. They can be repeat business, right?
Absolutely. It's so much less expensive also to find it. I have customers who actually have been shopping with me since my first business and have continued to shop with me in my new business and who have become my coaching clients. So that kind of longevity of relationship that comes from always showing up and being in service, because it always comes around, and that it feels good. These people are, they're part of my community, they're part of my network, and that feels good to help them. And then they want to share what I do with other people, and that there's so much value in that.
I absolutely love that. Okay, so now I'm going to teleport you into the future. What is in the horizon for you, for your business? Where are you taking this? Again, in light with what's happening in the world with COVID and all of these changes.
That's such a good question. You're wonderful at these questions. So in the future, my goals are I will write a book. That is on my list as a librarian, and I read about 65 to 80 books a year. So writing my own book is one of the things that I want to do. And I would like to be speaking more. I think that the last year during COVID, one of the things that I really did was reflect on my journey and what experiences I've had. And in sharing them with people, I find that it helps them find some excitement that they can do, that they can tap into to create whatever it is that they want for themselves. So I think that in the future, I am hoping to do some speaking so I can encourage people on a larger scale. And I see my coaching business expanding as well, just truly helping, supporting women grow along this path. So in the future, those are my big goals.
That is absolutely wonderful. I'm going to include all of your contact links with this show. But thank you so much for showing up today and really reframing the way entrepreneurs should be thinking right now about business. It's going to be a challenging time. We all have to find ways to survive this pandemic. Mm-hmm. And if you are curious, like you said, things can be absolutely magical.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming on the show. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. I told you we are having women from all over the world with a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of ideas, and we're all here to collaborate, support each other, and transfer as well. So I really love the fact that you're going into coaching in a big way. There's a lot of people who are needing support at this difficult time.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I will be back again tomorrow with yet another fascinating lady from another part of the world. Have a good day wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you so much.
All right. Another amazing story. Absolutely
Hello,
fascinating.
friends, it's me, and today is Darman Monday, and we're going to be watching a video about a mean lady who ruins the gender reveal.
Oh my goodness me. What was that? So it just went
Keep
on
going.
YouTube, I think. Oops, sorry, folks. You know what I really took from that? I loved what she said was her superpower. Curiosity is her superpower, which equaled possibility. And when you asked her about how she managed the fear, she just said, you know what? I just walk with it and I just choose to have the fun and just sort of package it up that way. And I just thought, you know what? And she has. And yeah, I love hearing her story.
And she reminded me so much of my younger self when I opened my shop and thought I could make money sitting in this shop and having business flow in. It was a total waste of time. And now with COVID, brick and mortar businesses are suffering because it's almost impossible to make any money sitting in a shop. So that was really interesting as well.
And it stemmed from the looking sideways and just seeing that's what I'm supposed to be doing, and ended up getting shot in the foot. So she learned the lesson, you know, with that sort of cliche saying wrapped in sandpaper. Yeah. And you know,
it's fascinating.
yeah, and that's how, you know, Oprah Winfrey said, you know, she sort of really had to keep the blinkers on, and you know, she just needed to run her own race. Every time that you look sideways to see what the competition was doing, slowed you right down. So yeah,
It does. And then you start comparing yourself to others. And in that comparison, you lose track. You lose track of where you are supposed to be going.
yeah. And I think you really have to lean into, no one can be doing what you're doing the way that you do it. And you have to really just keep going back to that, and you'll attract the people that are meant to be working with you.
Yeah. Some real gems, some great lessons were learned from that that presentation. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. And she presents beautifully too.
He does. He really does.
Yeah. Ruth,
So,
anything from you?
Miss
Yes.
Ruth.
Hi. I wanted to say the skills that she has, multitasking. She's raising children and she's running multiple businesses. I just thought, wow. And then she goes on to say her sense of giving. You know, she gives of herself, and she says, when she says, even if I can impact somebody, if I can talk to somebody for 5 minutes and give them advice that will change their life, you know, I'm just like that, that she'll give the time and give of herself and the knowledge that she has. Wow.
100%. And I love that, you know, the 3 takeaways was, it's not as bad as it seems.
Yes.
And when
Yeah.
it like just seems like it's just out of control, and that there's always an opportunity and to network. And as she's done that, as she's sort of progressed through the different businesses, that those beautiful customers have stayed with her throughout that whole time, and of course word of mouth. So yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
Thank you,
So
Alison.
we'll move on to our next speaker, next video. I believe Kay will be
Okay.
presenting today. So we can go on to Dr. Justine Green.
Okay. We've got. Okay. Okay, so yes, we have Dr. Justine Green is an educator, author, and disability advocate based in Boca Raton, Florida, where she currently serves as the principal at Taman Academy. Sorry, that's just gone. Sorry, my apologies. Justine was born with atresia and microtia. Microtia is a condition where the outer ear doesn't develop properly, and atresia is the absence of the ear canal, leaving her deaf in the left ear. Knowing she was different from birth and boasting 3 reconstructive surgeries under her belt, Justine learned to read lips and worked hard through school. She used her disability as motivation instead of an excuse, and ultimately found her life's purpose through these challenges. Wow. Amazing. All right. Okay. Let's hear from Justine.
I'm Dr. Justine Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back
See
to
the video, Marianne.
the Herstory podcast. This is Getting
watch this again.
Beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And
oh, it didn't come up?
Again, share the tab, not your full screen, but share the Chrome tab.
Sorry, folks. Let's see if that one comes up. Oh no, here we go again. What is this? No, that just happened all again. There we go.
That happens when you share the full screen.
Yeah.
What you need to do is to share the tab.
Just gotta get back. There's my. There we go. Got it on first go last time. Where's she gone? So I've got that one.
I'm Dr. Justine Green.
Now, is that coming up now?
No, you would see it on the screen.
her story.
So shall I do it from this end?
Perhaps, just so we're not getting stuck.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Justine. Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another extraordinary young woman coming to us all the way from the United States. Welcome to our tribe. Tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Dr. Justine Green, and I'm 30 years old, based in Boca Raton, Florida. And I have 2 beautiful children, 21 months. Her name's Millie, and my son is 3 years old. His name's Theo. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I was born with atresia and microtia. They're 2 conditions that affect the ear. One is that I am missing the actual canal into my ear, so I do not have an eardrum, making me deaf on this side. And I was born with a deformed ear as well. So I actually went through 3 reconstructive surgeries before the age of 9. I was in and out of hospitals, doctors' offices. Even when I was born, I was whisked away from my mom before she even got to hold me, because they noticed that my ear was deformed, and ears actually shape and develop at the same time of kidneys in the belly, in pregnancy. So they were concerned about any of their health issues. So I immediately from birth knew that there was something different about me. I was very fortunate for my parents to be my advocates, especially my education. making sure that I never felt like I was at a disadvantage. They even made me feel special. I had a special ear, to the point where a cousin of mine even wanted a special ear. She was jealous about my special ear. So it was always something positive and at home, which I think was really helpful for me in my development. I went on to become an educator. I got my bachelor's of science in special education, elementary education. I went on to Columbia University Teachers College for my master's in educational policy. And I actually finished up my doctorate at the University of Miami in educational leadership, focusing on students with disabilities. It's always been something that is very near and dear to my heart. And as I was doing my doctoral thesis, I came across disability identity theory. And in this theory, people with disabilities do not reach the acceptance stage until their late 20s on average. And this was like an aha moment for me. And I actually have the chills even talking about this, that I said, that's not fair. We should learn to love ourselves from such an early age, that for them to go from this anger, why me? Why me? You know, I went through that too. I feel like I'm a good person. Why me? Why am I different? To all of a sudden understanding that everyone's perfect the way that they are. But it took me a very long time. I used to hide my hair. I used to hide everything about me. Kids and people at school were always mean, but the things that they would say were not, you know, malicious. But instead, I took it that way because I was so sensitive. And it wasn't until I started really becoming who I meant to be. And that's why you're going to see butterflies in all my books. It's because I really feel like it's my spirit animal. I was going through life as like this caterpillar. And then it wasn't until I accepted myself for who I really am that I turned into this butterfly. And I feel like it's clicked and I have flourished and really created what I've wanted to do always, which is creating tools of educating young children about people with disabilities based on real children and their real disabilities. So my story is completely me, and it's actually based on when I was 5 years old. It shows you that I'm real. This little girl really felt that way, and that she's your friend. She's here to tell you that you are great the way you are. And even as my second one, this little girl named Emerson, she really is a little girl in real life. And she talked to me and interviewed with me so I could write her story. And a lot of the words and phrases in the book are her own words of how she would explain her disability to her friends and peers.
Wow, what an amazing story. I love the way that you have harnessed your unique selling point, the thing that makes you different from everybody else, and reflected it back to the world as a positive and not a negative. And that is the problem with acceptance of diversity in this world. I think we need more stories like yours. And like you're saying, for kids to be able to accept themselves at a younger age and just know that different is good. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Yeah, it's interesting.
Concept.
I remember when I moved to New Zealand 21 years ago, my little son was 3 years old. And so he is here, the only little black boy in his class. He hated it. He hated not being able to fit in. And he had a big fluffy little afro, and everybody kept touching him. Wherever we went in a supermarket, he had no personal space. And he was a cute little kid anyway. And he one day came home from preschool and said, "Mom, shave it off. Take it all off." I had to shave my son's hair. And it just broke my heart. It was the one thing that made him so gorgeous and so different. But he just wanted to blend in. He just wanted to be like everybody else. And his hair was another thing that got in the way. It really broke my heart. But I do love what you've done with really using your point of difference. And now you work with children. Tell us a little bit about how you help parents, how you help educators, anybody who's dealing with kids. Give us a little bit of a
Yeah.
spiel on that. Mm.
Sorry, you actually broke up. Did you say something after that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said, tell us a little bit about how you work with parents and educators in helping children.
Yeah, so I'm actually a principal of an elementary school here. I am
Okay.
that by morning, and by the afternoon, I'm the general studies teacher in our kindergarten first grade class, all before I go home to the kids. So I'm constantly surrounded by children, parents, and everything. And the one thing that I like constantly bring up is that children may come off as rude or mean when they say certain things, but it's only because of a lack of knowledge. That we should take these moments as teachable moments and explain to them that, hey, if you see a child walking down the street or rolling down the street with a disability, instead of saying, oh, don't stare, don't look, say, let's go say hi. Let's go introduce ourselves. Look, they look about the same age as you. You have those sneakers. Let's ask her what her favorite book is. Let's find some commonalities. That if people just took the time to communicate with others, then there would be so much more acceptance and love in this world. And I feel like when people see others with disabilities or differences, they're so quick to say, what happened? What's wrong with you? Why are you like that?
Yes.
And the first part of seeing and meeting a new person, regardless of what they look like, feel like, sound like, is asking them their name, telling them your name. How are you doing today? I would love to learn more. Like just using all of those opportunities to learn. And that the more they learn, the more they'll understand. And I actually write that in one of my stories is they just didn't know. The more they learn, they'll understand. And I really truly believe that children are just saying certain things or acting in a way because different is unknown.
Yes.
So they're immediately quick to say something or do something, but sometimes you need to, regardless of how much it might hurt. And believe me, I remember everything that anyone ever said to me about my ear. I act like it never hurt or whatever, but it really does. They all just hurt a bit, but I really try to swallow it down and use it as a teachable moment. And even one day in high school, I remember I was sitting there eating my lunch like a normal day, and someone I didn't even know walked up to me in front of the whole cafeteria and said, "Yo, you're the girl with the rubber ear, right?"
Oh, wow.
And I feel like I sank down. I felt like I was such a small person after that. And it wasn't fake. I went through 3 surgeries. They took out cartilage from my ribs. This is part of me. This was me. That's not fake, not rubber. And so I actually, afterwards, I ended up finding that child. And I said, it's not fake. It's real. And it came from me. And I told them about my surgeries. And he's like, they just don't know.
It's ignorance. Yeah.
Ignorance, a lot of it.
Yeah. And that education is so, so important. And I think it's something that as parents, as educators, we need to foster that inquisitiveness and give kids the right words to use to express their inquisitiveness. I think that's an important thing as well, just knowing the right way to approach someone and the right things to say. Wow. So if you were to go back to that little girl that you were experiencing the hardships with this disability, based on what life has taught you, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give her?
Ooh. I think one thing is keep your head up. You'll do great things. That's one thing. I feel like a lot of people can just hear that and foster it and bring it inside. And if you believe it and you dream it and you work hard for it, you can achieve. So I want to tell that little girl, like, you're a hard worker. You've got this. You're going to do some great things. The second one is I would tell my younger self that as soon as the technology is available, to get hearing aids as soon as possible. When I was younger, the technology wasn't actually available yet. So it needed Bluetooth technology to be able to communicate from one side to the other. Before that, it would have been just like headgear, so no one used to recommend it to parents.
Okay.
So it wasn't until earlier this year that I finally got hearing aids. And it has changed my life. Just recently, this year, could you believe it?
That's
and we
incredible.
have I actually tape it with fashion tape, and this is a microphone that communicates to my real one. And I even got it black to like go and hide in my hair. You don't even know. It has helped with my tinnitus 100%. Like it's almost gone. I am hearing people even without with the masks, which has been really difficult.
Because you'd have to lip read, right? If you have a hearing impairment.
I am a lip reader. I have always utilized accommodations. And that's another thing I would actually tell myself is that never be ashamed of utilizing accommodations. You are a federally—
Now explain what that means.
So in schools, I don't know how it works in Australia, but I'm pretty sure it's most locations. But at least in the US, the people with disabilities are federally protected people. And in schools, especially public schools, you are eligible for certain accommodations and modifications to quote unquote level the playing field, to allow you to meet all of the other needs that allow you to have an adequate education. For me, I needed to sit in a specific spot. I needed to have my good ear to the teacher and to the classroom. So it was always that front left spot. That's my spot. Don't take it. and I mean, I kick people out of my spot. It's my spot. And then I always had a note taker because I wasn't able to look down and write. I would miss what they were saying as I was writing. So I needed someone else to be my note taker so that I could focus on the teacher and be present, or else I would miss every other sentence the teacher would say. So
that's incredible.
Down, I had a specific spot, but you know, it's also really embarrassing. So, you feel embarrassed or you feel like you're a bother. And I found that a lot in my dissertation and doing my studies, but we're not a bother. Like we should not be embarrassed. These accommodations are necessary for our education and for us to persevere and to excel. And we should never be ashamed of what is needed for us. And I think that's a mindset switch. It's like, yeah, look at me. I have to get this spot. That's okay. Like, you know, that was a difficult thing for me.
How fascinating. And you know, these are things that we don't really understand or even think about.
Mm-hmm.
You've just opened a whole new world to me today in my understanding of the challenges that people go through. And thank you for that. So now let me take you to your future before we end our interview. If time was an illusion and we could teleport into the future, and you could have a conversation with that 120-year-old you, because you are going to live longer with technology and medicine. And you could have a conversation with that woman, you know, based on how you have lived your life. What would you say to her?
I feel like I would just have so many questions for her. I don't know what I would say. I would ask, do you feel fulfilled? Did you feel love? Did you feel happy? And those are the ones and the parts that are the most important when it comes to our lives. And I just hope that I do have a happy and love-filled long life with my children and hopefully grandchildren. If I'm 120, I better have some great grandchildren too. I'm not kidding. But I just hope for a very fulfilled life. And I wrote these stories so that I can help others. Even if I only change one life, everything up to that point was worth it.
Worth it, yes.
So I'm hoping that I am able to make changes in the world and have them all be positive. I hope to spread lots of love and understanding and knowledge about differences.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Justine. This has been a fascinating interview. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. I told you we have some dynamic women in our network, and it just gives me great pleasure to bring Dr. Justine Green to us today, wherever you are in the world. So have a fantastic day. Thanks again, Justine. This is Gertrude Mache on the Herstory podcast, the Herstory TV. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.
Nice. Wow.
It's time you switch to Budget Direct.
CanStar's Insurer of the Year 2022.
I made myself a...
Oh, it wasn't me for a change.
Was it running by itself?
It was running by itself. Hello.
I'm loving the diversity.
Hello, Kay.
Good to see you, Kay.
Hello, ladies. How are you all?
We are good. How are you?
Well.
Hi, Kay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Is it Marian?
Marian. Yes.
Beautiful. It's been a busy day, you guys, but everything is well.
Awesome.
Wonderful to have you with us.
Yeah, I love that you've had Dr. Justine Green on. I love that she utilized that metaphor of being the caterpillar and eventually emerging as a butterfly. And once you become that butterfly, it's like, get out of her way. and what an advocate for, you know, the younger children. She's using those stories that she had as a young person, you know, immortalizing it in a book so that it feels really real. And yeah, she's not looking back on those moments, those key moments as a child with pain. She's actually looking at them as an empowering event, and that's catapulted to where she is. And that, so she reframes it for those kids that are going through that now, and just having self-acceptance and embracing, you know, whatever issue, disability that they might be dealing with, but very much heavy on educating people, looking for the commonality. And, you know, isn't that what we all do when we go into a room? You know, if we don't know anybody, we're at a meeting of some description, we always look for, oh, how are we similar? Like, let's look for the commonality. That's how we connect.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I just wanted to highlight, we've got in the comments here from Harold Favor, and that's what I was looking at was children imitate parents. So it matters what character we portray in front of the children, and the language matters too. And I think that's really important to highlight. Thank you, Harold Favor. You know, I mean, we do have to be mindful of what we think, judge, say out loud, because osmotically it all goes through. And, you know, we have to be aware that when we're seeing difference, that we're curious, that we engage, and break down that fear barrier. And yeah, so I appreciate you highlighting that one.
Ruth, any input before we move on to our live speaker for the morning?
I love her attitude. She's very confident, Dr. Justine. She's very confident. And when she talks about being a butterfly, she's really come into her being, and she's just flourishing in it. It was so awesome to watch her and get affected positively by that energy. I just love the energy that she has around her. And what a way, and she's giving back in the same area where her disability was, education, and especially for children with special needs.
I think that's the most special part about it, because she's been there, she's lived it, she's experienced it, and now she can give back in a completely different way. Now, Miriam, I'm aware you have to take children to school. We'll ask you to read the next bio, and I know you'll have to disappear. And
Practicalities. They're doing very well. They're sitting there, they're having their brekkie, they're dressed, they're ready to roll.
Excellent.
Realities. Kay, the vibe, Kay Johnson, Inspire Bosses. Kay is an energy force to be reckoned with. Kay is the author of Beginner's Vibe Guide, The Millennial Success Map, and The Ultimate Hustler. Candidate 2022 for Miss Tennessee, an international speaker, transition specialist for the state of Tennessee, Leader School graduate, and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Health Sciences and Nonprofit Management. Kay is the founder of Inspire Bosses. Since the inception of Inspire Bosses, they have partnered with several communities to enrich and uplift millennials, Gen Z, and Gen X professionals and students. Kay's superpowers are self-care, confidence, and igniting passion. In the arena of confidence, she has worked with America's Next Top Model winner, volunteering for Harlem's Fashion Row, Missa Hilton, American stylist and fashion designer and Julie Wilson, beauty director of Cosmopolitan. Kay has been featured on WNBJ as a news commentator for the 83rd Annual West Tennessee Strawberry Festival. Kay's mission, and that's what we've got with Inspire. Okay.
It got
I
cut
hope
off.
that's okay. Thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing.
Awesome. I think that last part got cut off when I was typing it in the bio. So that's my bad. But hey, we're human and we make errors. So
You've done great.
Thank you for that introduction, Marianne. I'll be
let you take the screen.
Let me share my screen with you all, if I can. Let's do this. Hello, everyone. As she stated, I am Kay Johnson, and I teach burnt out, stressed out students and professionals how to bounce back after this COVID-19 pandemic with the Make Your Bed routine. Now, I'm not going to go through this entire presentation because it's a little bit lengthy, but if I had to share with you what the Make Your Bed routine is, it is about controlling your time, controlling your money, but ultimately controlling your life with the reality of speaking words that energize your life. The reason why you see the messed up bed on the screen is because most of the time we wake up in the morning and we forget to do one thing, and that's make our bed. It was a time in my life that I was suffering from depression, and I had attempted to take my own life, as well as being in college, dealing with the demands of exams and figuring out who the heck I am supposed to be in this world. I lacked in really, truly understanding my identity. I lacked in confidence. Even though I was doing so many beautiful and ambitious things, I still had internal struggles of really being bold and confident in who Kay Johnson is. With this transformation through college, I was able to then write the book Beginner's Vibe Guide, The Millennial Success Map. So now my super shero name, now that I've tapped into who I am, my super shero name is The Vibe Master, or for short, The Vibe. And that's 2 E's, please. Some of my superpowers include energy force, room control, strategic vision, networking, spiritual acuity, smiling, multi-giftedness, and so forth. I love to smile. Did you know that smiling increases your chance of happiness every day? With happiness, we can increase our success rates. But the reason why you see the little girl in Spider-Man costume or the Spider-Woman costume is because I believe that everyone has a superpower inside of them. And especially women, you may not see so many women on DC and Marvel characters. They do have more super heroes now, but we have all got to come together and activate and ignite our superpowers as women. I've always wanted to be invisible or be able to teleport or be able to be in more places at one time. To be able to be in many places at one time. Excuse me. So I always wanted to be a superhero. But the ways that my superhero self have showed up in the world today is through speaking to professionals about being burnt out and how to incorporate self-care in their practice, being on a news commentator and being a role model for young African-American girls in Tennessee, writing a book, becoming Miss Milan 2022, and becoming a candidate for the Miss Tennessee and Miss America organization. I've connected with so many young girls about teaching them how to transition from their girlhood into womanhood, and it's been amazing. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple of pictures of what I've done around the world. I am the vibe. Is the definition here is a person who disrupts norms by walking in supernatural confidence. That's what being the vibe is. I'm not just the vibe, but I also ignite the passion of being the vibe in other people. These are people who are not settling to be the same. These are people who are going into spaces and places, being different, being unique, being themselves, and showing up with their superpowers. In the Beginner's Vibe Guide book, I talk about cracking the code of purpose. When I was in college and I was going through my depression and I didn't know exactly who I was and I had to get therapy because I had suicidal ideation, I did not understand the code of my purpose. When you think about the word purpose, purpose is defined as the intention or reason something is done or created. It is to have as one's intention or objective. So in Beginner's Vibe Guide, I give you a list of reasons why we need to be cracking the code of purpose, why we need to be making our bed. It is essential to make our bed in the morning because it firstly promotes the activity of getting something done during the day. It promotes completing a task. And for those of you who are super busy, super connected to your calendars and to your obligations, we know that completing tasks is definitely a productivity strategy. It leaves us feeling like we're more whole. It leaves us feeling like the work that we are doing and contributing to the world is that much more better if we complete the task. If you've ever been or experienced depression or anxiety or any other mental health issue, then you know how tough it can be to just wake up in the morning to want to do anything. So making your bed is essential in this way of completing tasks and connecting with your purpose. Our bed can represent our comfort zone sometimes. And I'm going to give you the different levels of comfort zone. Everything about our bed is not negative. Anybody who loves to sleep, go ahead and put in the chat or comment on Facebook, wherever you are. I love to sleep. Sleep is so good for humans. If we did not sleep, we would all be depleted and we could not transform the world in the ways that we wish. So we do need our sleep. But what comes with our bed sometimes, what comes with our comfort zone sometimes is fear. We're fearful of making our mark. We're fearful of being consistent, sometimes even fearful of success, and maybe even fearful of failure. Worry is another comfort zone attribute or characteristic. Worry does not add up to the prayers and the passions that you have for life. I've heard a wise woman or man once say, if you're going to pray about it, don't worry about it. So when we wake up in the morning and we step out of our beds, we have to leave fear and worry behind us. We have to put fear and worry on the bottoms of our feet as soon as our feet hit the ground. Sometimes, even in our bed, we have defeat. Maybe last week or the day before you woke up today, you experienced someone telling you that your idea was not going to work. Your application was not approved. You were denied a homeowner's application or whatever the case may be. And maybe you went to bed feeling defeated. The highlight of our beds is that even in feeling defeated in our bed, our comfort zone, we can wake up the next morning feeling empowered to know that we have another day to be victorious, to learn from what we feel like defeated us the day before, the week before, the year before. 2020 could have defeated of a lot of us, but yet we're still here partnering together for Women's History Month, future of women, and so much more. Comfort can be your enemy. Comfort can stagnate you when it comes to your passion, when it comes to your purpose. So I oblige you, I encourage you to wake up every morning knowing that on the other side of the comfort zone, your bed does represent support and you getting rest. Rest is essential and rest is a revolution. And as we see people leaving their jobs in 2021, 2022, the great resignation, they like to call it, we understand that we're not robots anymore. People are really understanding their value as employees, associates, partners, etc. So rest is a revolution. Self-care is a revolution. Stepping out of your comfort zone is the next step to you owning your purpose and staying and standing in your power. Here's a bit of an excerpt from my book, Vibe 11, and Make Your Bed. It's called Make Your Bed. Did you make your bed this morning? You might be asking yourself, why does she care if I made my bed this morning? Making your bed plays a significant role in your success. Most of us are not pursuing significance, but status. And I learned that status was a short way to say still too arrogant to understand significance. It wasn't until I hit a brick wall that I learned that success was hidden in the vibe that I create when I arise from bed. Significant people who maintain a morning and evening routine can verify that success is hidden in the small moments of life that most people do not glorify. Nobody's standing at the end of your bed or in your room in the morning saying, oh my goodness, great job, Marion. Great job, Gertrude. Great job, Facebook viewer, that you made your bed this morning. You woke up. Nobody's standing there in the morning championing you. So you have to be your own champion. Let me give you a few steps from Vibe 11 and Beginner's Vibe Guide on how to have success in your morning and ultimately your life. Number 1, arise. Get out of that bed because now you have another chance. Now, for all my busy people, busy professionals and students, check the time. What time is it? Look at the ceiling above you and just thank God or the source or the divine source, whatever you call your God. I just name it God. Look up and be grateful. Sometimes in the morning, I have to make a gratitude list in my head because the night before I felt defeated. The day before I felt worried. The day before I might have been fearful of something. So this day I wake up and I say, I am grateful for life. I am grateful for clean water. I am grateful for connections. I am grateful for a powerful business. I am grateful for a powerful heart, right? And lastly, you want to meditate and smile. Like I said, smile promotes your success and your happiness in your life. Sometimes we think that happiness is connected to money and happiness is connected to a relationship. And I was that person. And that's why I failed in so many relationships, romantic relationships, that is. Now, there are 3 phases when it comes to the Vibe 11. But the first phase I want to talk about is the pit stop at pain. This point and phase in life causes you to ask yourself questions. And here you can see them on the screen. But one question I want to ask you today, and I want you to answer it, not on screen, but in your own time. What has my pain taught me and molded me into? I think that everybody should assess their pain because pain leads us to purpose. And the things that we pray about during our pain points leads us to a higher connected purpose to this world and to our own transformation. I encourage you to be a deliberate creator of your reality. And I also encourage you to be an infinite game player. What is an infinite game player? An infinite game player is someone who knows that the resources do not run out. The creativity does not run out because you are connected to a source that is infinite. In the infinite game, there are only people who are ahead of you or behind you. No one is better or nobody is worse. I learned this from a clip, and they were talking about how sometimes Apple is ahead and sometimes Microsoft is behind, or some of the the billion-dollar companies we all know. Not all of them, or not one of them, is always leading in innovation. Sometimes someone else takes the lead. And remember to live big and live large. Live big and live large. Live on purpose. Wake up in the morning knowing that you made your bed. And if you didn't do anything else right throughout that day, if you're suffering in your mental and emotional wellness, know that you did complete one task and that you are worthy of being admired and loved for pushing through and finding your purpose in that day. Here are a few statistics about mental health in business and in life for all of my professionals who are juggling many activities and tasks. Friedman's research has shown that startup founders are twice as likely to suffer from depression, 6 times more likely to suffer from ADHD, 3 times more likely to suffer from substance abuse, 10 times more likely to suffer from bipolar disorder, twice as likely to have a psychiatric hospitalization, and twice as likely to have suicidal thoughts. Now, if those words are triggering for you, I apologize, but this is a reality that we all have to face. We must take care of our mental health. We must take care of our emotional well-being too. So wake up every morning knowing that you have purpose. Wake up every morning knowing that you have the power and that you will live larger and that you add value wherever you go. Now, I'm not going to go through these affirmations I have on screen, but if you want to take a screenshot, go ahead. They're yours. I encourage you to use these throughout your day as a professional, as a student, as an advocate, as a mom, as a dad, whoever you may be. Whatever your role is in life, you can use these and find power in these affirmations. Affirmations also increase our mental health in a positive way because it reaffirms who we say we are if we believe that in our heart. Now, if you want to live larger, you can contact me and we can work together. We can find and ignite your passion and we can become friends in purpose, partners in purpose. I've enjoyed speaking with you all. And remember, if you're burnt out, you're stressed out, and you're a student or a professional, make your bed. Make your bed and win your day.
Absolutely wonderful, 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 wonderful to hear you inspire us yet again, Kay. I think the thing that strikes me the most about you every time I hear you present or share your knowledge is you're very structured in your approach. You know, just something as simple as waking up in the morning and making your bed is the catalyst that can result in a successful day or not. When I was little, my mother used to insist we couldn't do anything until that damn bed was made. And when I was young, it didn't make any sense. Now, as I've grown older, it makes a lot of sense. And hearing you speak adds another layer to it because it's really that first task, the first thing you do in the morning, just that ability to do one thing and complete it from beginning to end. Absolutely powerful. We have Terry chiming in from the US. She said that was absolutely awesome. Thank you, Terry. A real reminder to all of us. Now, Ruth, I'm not sure if you're still there. I know you can't switch on your video, but you are there. Do you have any feedback for Kay? Looks like Ruth might have dropped off. Miriam has gone to pick up kids from school or drop off children to school, so she's not able to participate. So what is in the horizon for UK in 2022? What are the projects you're working on? What can we expect as more nuggets of wisdom that are coming from you this year?
Oh my goodness. I really feel like my head's about to explode with so much on my brain for the next like 3 months. It's ridiculous. So one of the things that I'm now doing, I am running for Miss Tennessee, to be Miss Tennessee. And that is in June. And so how people can support this initiative, initiative is about the self-care revolution, which is kind of why I took a turn a little bit with the presentation a little bit differently. I didn't give the full make your bed presentation, but I gave more of the make your bed, self-care, emotional wellness, because that is my initiative that I'm pushing this year for with Miss Tennessee and the Miss America organization. What this initiative is about revolutionizing self-care and corporate wellness into professional environments. So what you will see as an attitude or behavior change from business owners and employers, they will start to value corporate wellness and self-care, sleep, nutrition, and mental health, socio-emotional learning skills, as well as personal and professional development. So how I see this is people who are associates, employees, being able to work less extended work hours, work more so in their peak performance states, I guess you could say that's the best word to use, and to incorporate more mental wellness day breaks throughout the day. Because if you work in an 8-hour shift, people could be grieving a loss. People could be trying to handle child issues, right? Maybe something is going on at school. And I don't believe that it's fair. I think we need to reevaluate our program, how we evaluate our performance measurements and for humans. And now that robots are being introduced into the into the equation, I think that if we could perform at our highest levels in our high peak moments, our robots could then step in to do what robots do best, and that's pretend to be humans. So that's where I'm going this year. That's the initiative for the Miss Tennessee and the Miss America organization, and I would love for you all to support me in this initiative. If you want to learn more about it, I'll have more information rolling out on social media in my campaigns, and you guys can just contact me. Go to inspirebosses.com and send me a message. Go sign up. Everything it's everywhere on my pages, on my website. If you want to support this or learn more about it, I am happy to talk with you, happy to have your support.
Now, what I like about you joining the Miss America pageant is the amount of influence you will get by riding on the wings of that brand. Your voice is going to go out not just nationally in the US, but internationally as well. And a lot of times I watch these young people taking part in these competitions and not really leveraging off the status that it brings, the reach that it gives you. So what do you think this is going to do for your career in terms of broadcasting your message to a wider pool of young people?
Well, my intention for sure is to expose more African American young girls to this world and to have them understand that so many skills are built. I know it's beautiful when you see us on stage in our beautiful dresses and our outfits. That is amazing. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, may I add. But for my career, it's not really about my career. It's about the initiative that I have in my company. My company, we are already Earth's leading innovator of restoring identity, purpose, and wellness back into our communities, back into our workspaces. So for me, I think that a lot of people across the nation will benefit from hearing the self-care initiative and get on board with the self-care initiative, because I hear too many times that people are burnt out. They don't want to work. They're leaving their jobs. There are statistics that's backing it up. You have the Great Resignation. So I would be able to just share this message on a broader level. And like you said, I'd be able to reach international people, businesses, new connections. I'm excited about that. I'm really just going to have fun with it and stay committed to the initiative. This is what I do every day. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's what I do every day.
I love it. Miss Ruth, I believe you're there. Can you unmute and say a few words? I'm not sure if the technology is failing you today.
Yeah. Okay, I love your presentation. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I loved your presentation, and I always love the vibe that you have, and that's the name of your hero, isn't it?
Yes, the vibe master or the vibe. That's fine.
Yeah, the vibe master. And what I wanted to commend you for is you're being authentic, and you're talking to the young people about building skills. So it's about putting in the work. It's about going through the process and then acquiring the skills that they will need.
Yes.
To do whatever they want to do, and the possibilities that it's possible. So to a young girl somewhere, showing them that this is very possible, this could be you. It's awesome. So well done for holding that space, and thank you for doing that for the young people. Really, really behind you all the way. We'll support you as Herstory, and thank you for being part of our tribe.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, you're so welcome, and I appreciate you all support.
Wonderful. Miss Maryam, you're back. You've dropped the kids at school?
They're done. They're safe. They waved goodbye. They're all good. Hey, I was able to drop in on a little bit of what you were talking about, and what exudes from you is just this beautiful confidence and real willingness just to sort of get out there and be a role model for people in your community, and what a great platform to be doing it. And as Gertrude mentioned, you know, the platform that brings so much influence, and what a great person you are to be the person that's in that position of influence. So yeah, congratulations and all the very best.
Thank you. I'm excited to help young girls learn how to have poise, grace, and also fundraise and have great interview skills, because that's exactly what you learn on this road to Miss Tennessee and Miss America.
Yeah, we'll be watching. Awesome. Exciting.
Wonderful. Use that platform for good, Kay.
I will.
Women will learn just by watching you do your thing.
And just on that, isn't it great that we're seeing platforms like that with people like your good self, Kay, highly intelligent, motivated, driven, going places, which I think helps to, I guess, sort of shift the persona of sort of, I guess, what was showing up in past years. And it's, as you say, it's just not the pretty dresses, you know, that's all part of it, but what's underneath. And I think that, you know, you're obviously part of sort of changing that landscape and seeing it as a platform that can be of seriously high value. So, yeah, kudos to you.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So
what time is it over there? What time is it over there? Sorry, Kay.
Yes, it is currently 4:48 p.m. Central Time.
That's reasonable. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, I am so excited. I'm always excited to be in cahoots with Gertrude as she changed the world. So
love it.
I love it.
That is brilliant.
Thank you, Kay. Wonderful to reconnect with you.
All right, ladies. I'll see you soon.
We're here in spirit, supporting you all the way. Don't forget us when you get all rich and famous and become Miss America. You know, just say hi.
You're gonna be the first person I call, Gertrude. All right, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Kay.
Thanks, Kay. Bye.
Oh, wow. So, Maria, maybe we'll have one more speaker for the day.
Okay, we've got Lyndon.
I put the bio in the chat there.
Beautiful. So we have, for our last one today, we have a lady, Lyndon Gross, is the writer behind Julia Butterfly Hills, The Legacy of Luna, Written in just 12 weeks, this national bestseller is a gripping and moving memoir of Hill's extraordinary 2-year tree sit to save a 200-foot redwood tree named Luna. 16 years later, she ghostwrote a second New York Times bestseller titled A Perfect Score: The Art, Soul, and Business of a 21st Century Winery. Wow. Okay, this will be interesting. So here we go again with my awesome techo skills. I think, oh, goody. You've got that up there.
Gross. I am based in Bend, Oregon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Matcha here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. Wet and cold as it is, I'm still happy to be here, but I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating lady coming to us all the way from the United States. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Thank you. My name is Lyndon Gross. I am based in Bend, Oregon, and I'm 65 years old. I am a writer and a writing coach. I have helped a lot of people in a number of different ways tell their stories. And people was a woman named Fanchon Blake. I met Fanchon when she was 88. She had been a policewoman. She joined the LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, in 1948 and walked a beat in a girdle, heels, and a skirt for 3 years. They were supposed to keep their guns in their purses, so as, I guess, not to wreck the feminine look with a gun at your side. She was a very ambitious woman who was not able to rise because the women during that period were assumed that they had to be more feminine. And sure enough, after 3 years, the LAPD took all the women off the streets and put them into more feminine secretarial roles, childcare roles in the prison, the women's prison. That was pretty much what they could do, and they were not allowed to promote. There were 8 sergeant positions for all of LAPD that could be filled by women. They were not allowed to promote beyond sergeant. And of course, the 8 women who were sergeants weren't about to go anywhere because they had nowhere to go. So I met Fanchon, and she, so what happened is that she put her time in. She did finally manage to they started letting women promote a little bit more, but then there was a police chief who wanted to eliminate women from the force altogether. And at that point, she had been making as many waves as she could and getting nowhere. And she finally said, I'm going to sue. I have my pension. Somebody has to step up and do it. It might as well be me. And so she filed what would become a groundbreaking court decision in her favor that would impact women and minorities and all over the country in terms of their workplace. And so, yeah, it was a huge Title VII anti-discrimination lawsuit, class action suit. And I just loved her story. I thought she was, even at 88, she was funny, she was sharp, she was very insightful. She had been writing this memoir for decades, had a million drafts of every chapter and then some, and clearly needed someone like me to help tell her story. My tagline is, sounds like you, only better. And I felt like she needed that.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What an honor to be able to have met such a phenomenal human being.
She was great. She was, the interesting thing is she really didn't know what she was getting herself into. And so from the point that she didn't even realize she would need to hire an attorney, and she had no money, but she was a cop, a single mother cop at that, she had no money. And so, you know, from that perspective, that was daunting. But then, of course, she stayed on the LAPD, and one does not, you know, you're not supposed to talk out of turn. You're not supposed to defy the code of silence. You're not supposed to defy the code of loyalty. And she breached both. And so she was made to pay. And she had a pretty rocky hard time. She was quite scared. Yeah.
That is so sad. But such a beautiful end to her story, in that she changed the lives of thousands, millions of people because of what she did.
She did.
So she literally sacrificed herself.
She was, I'm not sure she would see it that way. She was, it's a little like childbirth. You kind of forget about the pain a little bit when you have a kid. I wouldn't know, but I've heard. She really talked about just the joy of the process, and it gave her a platform, which was great. She was very wise about sort of taking her understanding of discrimination and people in positions of power and what that does, and applying it not just to women, but to even, you know, looking out at social injustice across the country and what was happening, and relations between police and, for example, the Black community that were strained decades ago and remain strained. And so she had amazing insights about that. And I think she also had amazing insights about the fact that women, we deal with stuff differently than men do. Not necessarily better or worse, but it tends to be more interactive. It tends to be less confrontational. It tends to be more cooperative. And so when you add that to policing, you get sometimes a lot more positive results. And there's research that's been, you know, since the 1990s that has shown that more women need to be on the force, that it would change the dynamic. That was the 1990s. That was 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So why is it important for us to share these stories, do you think? What is the power of story? What made you put in your time, your efforts to make this come to being?
You know, I think a lot of it has to do with, I think younger women today take a little bit for granted the position that they're in. I don't think it's really sunken in just how differently women were perceived in this country not that long ago, and in your country still perceived, you know, in your home country as lesser than. And, you know, I think that we still have not achieved parity, and that needs to, that starts with awareness. That starts with what's possible. I think there's also the power of story. You know, people remember story. There was a wonderful book that came out that talked about research where if you give a speech, you can be loaded with statistics. The only thing people will remember is the story. That's what people respond to. And I think if you can show somebody who gets out of her comfort zone, stands up for what she believes, makes a difference in her world, that's very powerful. And it's inspiring.
It sure is. It's very, very inspiring. And the ripple effect on the younger generation of women coming up when they hear these stories, they can then believe that anything is possible.
And that they need to continue to push. That we you know, women are not in the boardrooms. Women are not on the, you know, on the police staffs. Take your arena. We are not in decision-making positions yet in any kind of equal way. And so the struggle goes on, and
the struggle continues for sure.
So I think that's important to know.
When you made the decision to write this book, going back to that younger you, when you said, okay, I'm taking this on, I want to put this out there. A lot of people have these visions, have these dreams, have this sense of purpose, and they don't follow through. But there was something in you that made you did it. There's something in you that kept you on track. If you were to have a conversation with that younger woman, what would you say to her right now?
You know, it's interesting because I would have two conversations. I would have a conversation with the younger woman to basically say, you know, good on you. You do a good job at helping people figure out what their stories are and tell them. And I'm proud of you for that. So that would be one conversation. The other conversation I would have with myself just a year ago, you know, the not very much younger self. And
Yes.
that's the self that decided to self-publish this book, because that was the only way to get it out and to finance that completely myself. And again, I would say, good on you. You followed your gut. You followed your compass. You did what you thought was right. And I'm good with that. You know, if I don't make the money back, I'm good with that. It was an important thing to do. Her Fanchon story is an important one to get out. And she deserves her place in history, and that I helped make that happen.
Make that happen. Yes.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is just fantastic. And so where is the future you going? If you could project into the future you 100 years from now, are there more books coming? What can we expect?
You know, it's so I work as a writing coach, and so some of the books that I'm helping to birth are ones that I'm not doing as much of the heavy lifting. It's so much fun because I get to guide, I get to help people figure their stories out. We brainstorm together, whether it's a novel, whether it's a memoir, whether it's nonfiction. It's so great. I have 3 or 4 clients about to publish their books and about to start new ones all at the same time. So it's really fun, and I'm helping a number of them self-publish the books. And so that part's great. The other part of me, there's a children's book series that's been hiding inside for a very long time. It's got to come out. And so there's that. And who knows? I've been playing around with my own novel for a long time. That's probably going to come out. But hopefully lots more. I really love the writing coach piece. It's so much fun. It's very much like co-authoring, except that I don't have to do all the writing.
Yes.
It's great. All the fun stuff. Not that writing isn't fun. I like writing, but it's hard. It can be difficult.
It can. Oh, that is just wonderful. Absolutely lovely. Well, we are looking forward to seeing what else you will come up with in the near future.
Yeah.
People take their stories to their graves. What is your advice to that person who's sitting on the fence, unsure whether they should go down this route?
You know, it's for that person. It's also for that person's parent. I think that there is something so powerful about telling one story, about having to sit back and really get to the heart of things. Right. And it can be cathartic if it's been a difficult experience. It can take you to a completely new place in your life because of the awareness that the epiphanies that happen as you come to terms with the good and the bad. I think that in terms of our parents, you know, I've lost both of my parents, and as much as I really thought that I was not going to have regrets, the regret I have is that I did not spend more time getting more information about how they grew up. I just so I think that there are lots of ways to shortcut the process, almost to turn, you know, when I co-author or ghostwrite a book, I do a lot of interviewing, and we tape those, then we work from transcripts. Well, anybody can do that. So you can give yourself a head start without having to face that blank screen and say, oh my God, what am I going to write?
Where do I start?
Right. You can, so if some people are more comfortable in writing, I go both ways. I'm comfortable speaking and I'm comfortable writing. But a lot of people are more comfortable talking things out. And that's a
great way to start.
It sure is. Wonderful, wonderful way to end our interview. Thank you so much, Lyndon, for coming online and sharing this amazing book. Where can people find it? Is it on Amazon, your website? Where's the best place?
It is. It's called Busting the Brass Ceiling, How a Heroic Female Cop Changed the Face of Policing. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's ebooks. It's paperbacks. It's, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Come back again tomorrow. I have some fascinating guests from all walks of life, changing the world one story at a time, one woman at a time. So this is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now. Thank you, Lyndon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing what can be done with just writing a fiction book based on real life. Fascinating author, fascinating woman.
Yep. I love that she said that this lady had reams of drafts of each chapter, and she's someone that was able to bring all that together so that that story could be told. And I think that ricochets out to a lot of people that have wanted to write their books, have had a crack at it, maybe have a quarter of it done, bits and pieces here, there, and everywhere. But if there's something in you that wants to write that book, but you feel like it's a challenge to do it on your own, looking at a writing coach, a ghostwriter, I think it's such an important thing that if it's in you, there's a reason, and there's so many resources out there to actually help you get it done.
You don't have to do it on your own. And that's what we've been doing with the Herstory movement. We've been ghostwriting people's stories. So if you have a story in you, don't take it to your grave. That is the saddest thing that you find, that they say that graveyards are full of people who had brilliant stories, amazing books in them, and they literally took them to their graves.
Yeah, yeah. I actually had a girlfriend, we were having a conversation not so long ago, and I said to her, if something was to happen to me and I was struck down, God forbid, an illness, that the thing that I would think about first is like, I haven't finished my book yet.
Yes.
Which I've got lots of things to think about. I've got children, I've got lots of things. But I know full well that is something, and it's around, and as she mentioned, it's got a lot of richness around my beautiful evolving relationship with my mum. And so I think then that has to speak very loudly. So for all of you that are thinking of it, that it's on you, that it's just keeps swimming through your mind, you owe it to really do something with it. And sorry, just on that point that she said, sometimes, you get to the computer and you can't write, all of a sudden you're blank. The idea of talking it out, see where you tend to get creative and you start to think about what you would write in that book. Is it when you're on a walk? Is it when you're at a coffee shop, or is it something that you do? Recording on your phone, and Gertrude, of course, you shared with me the app Otter, which has become my new best friend, is absolutely brilliant because you often capture those nuggets when you're in that creative state. So then it's much easier. Then all you just have to do is just copy and paste and trim it down, and your work is already starting to take shape, which gives you that feeling like, wow, actually I'm making progress. So yeah, I appreciated her sharing that.
Yeah, some beautiful insights. Miss Ruth, are you still with us? I can see we have a message from Jules on Facebook saying she is amazing. She truly is, Jules. I'm looking forward to catching up with you later this week. We have lots to talk about. Miss Ruth, your parting thoughts before we call it a day today.
What an amazing, she's really amazing. Did she say she was 65?
Yes.
Or 56? What did she say? Was it 65 or 55?
I think it was 56.
56.
Yeah.
But she's amazing. And I know I'm one of those people, Marianne, who've got books in her. And yeah, Gertrude is tried to get me out. I keep dragging my feet and procrastinate. I write 5 chapters and I stop. But amazing woman, and I would love to get hold of her books. So I'm gonna go to her website. I think Gertrude, you shared her website, or I'll find it. I'll search for it, and
Yeah,
it
no,
just
she's
speaks.
amazing. A
Yeah.
real reminder to all of us. Well, ladies, thank you so much for another amazing day. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in from all over the world and been with us today. We have yet another comment on Facebook. Andrea Brown. Hey, good to see you, Andrea. Thank you for chiming in the UK. And you're another one who needs to finish writing your damn book. I will be on to you.
We
I
should
first
create
met
a competition.
Andrea at a conference. Gosh, I don't even know how we met, Andrea, but she has a story. She's an amazing woman. We met in Dubai. I remember now. It was in Dubai. And we've been in touch for years. But I think she's ready. The other day I got a message from Andrea saying, okay, I'm ready. I need to finish this book. So we just need to get on with it. Andrea would love you to speak sometime this week. Send me a message on Facebook so we can schedule you into the program, please. So, ladies, we'll call it a day. We'll be back again tomorrow with yet another lineup of amazing speakers. Marianne, you want to wrap us up before we go?
Yeah, thank you, each and every one of you, for chiming in and adding to this morning. And it's been a really beautiful morning hearing these stories, so diverse. And congratulations to all the people that did present today via video or live. And we're wishing everyone a fabulous day, and keep that power of giving moving forwards, and let that be your centerpiece. So with that, have a lovely day, have a lovely evening, and we'll all look forward to seeing you over the rest of March. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Gertrude. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye for
Bye,
now.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.